So you know what, man? We're going to top it all off with the best of the best. Gen Z is dragging millennials for being pathetic.
As they should.
And they're correct.
Yes.
100%.
Yep.
Kids,
This is
you
for
Gen
you.
Zers, we are in complete agreement.
Yep.
You know
My
what?
generation is trash.
Yep.
We talked about what a millennial is in the show, I think last week.
Yeah, I think we.
And after that show, someone hit me up and they were like, you know what? I wanted to let you know, Adam, you're not a millennial. And I was like,
That's the best news I've had all day.
Why aren't you a millennial?
amazing. Why? Do tell me. And they were like, it's not just years. It's a state of mind. And the year thing is so flexible. They keep pushing it back in the 80s. But
Yeah.
it's like, you can push it the other way too.
Push it
Sorry.
up past the
You can push both
90s,
ways. We're
just
playing tug of
me.
war. I'm not a millennial.
I'm not either then.
I don't feel I am. I think millennials suck. I think they're entitled. They have no idea what they have.
And none
They
of us
screech.
None of us here fit the stereotype of what the Gen Zers say. Like, they think Harry Potter is a personality trait. You've never actually even read it.
I've never.
There you
I
go.
don't know what Harry Potter's like. I know he's got a
I got
Z
it.
on his or
A
a lightning bolt. Is a lightning bolt okay?
One of
It's a Z,
the
whatever, I don't know.
funniest things was that I'm pretty sure it was Gen Z saying this a few years ago, like these younger kids pointing out that all of these protests, these people were making Harry Potter protest signs. They were saying things like Trump is Voldemort.
Yes.
And it's like, is that it? Is that
all you got?
You've read one book? Read a different book, dude.
Yes,
It's
please.
the only book they've read.
Seriously.
Read some real stuff.
Some history.
Watch some documentaries.
Dude, I
Yeah.
watched some of these TikToks from Gen Z mocking millennials. Nailed it. Completely nailed it. And the funny thing is, I was like, I tweeted this. I'm like, you realize they're not talking about conservatives.
Oh,
Conservative
no.
millennials are posting frog memes.
Yeah.
They're not getting mocked. Gen Z isn't mocking people for their frog memes.
No.
No, they're mocking people for their avocado toast coffee and complaining because someone called them a naughty word on the internet.
Now,
Hipsters.
avocado toast is
Yeah.
pretty delicious, but I'm pretty sure everyone can agree avocado toast is pretty good.
Avocados are great.
Yeah.
But it's like this stereotypical hipster urban millennial thing
Yeah.
of like,
But when you eat it every single day,
You spend $8
and you
on
start
it.
whining, and you
Or-
know
dude.
$12
Yeah,
or
yeah, yeah,
$15 on avocado toast.
Have
It's
you
like,
ever-
if
have-
you're not making it yourself, you're a millennial.
Yep.
have you seen the Deconstructed Trend?
Oh my gosh.
No, what's this?
So it's like a hipster
Amazing.
thing where you go to the restaurant and you'll be like, I'll have the deconstructed, omelet.
Oh my god.
And it's a tortilla. It's like they just don't make it.
They just leave it.
So you can get deconstructed sandwiches, and it's literally just they give you the
Pile of
ingredients.
stuff.
Yep.
Here you go, sir.
It's the s-
That'll be $30,
Yes,
please.
There's also
exactly.
there's also a subreddit called We Want Plates,
Okay.
and it's like a hipster restaurant trend of putting things on random
Like
objects.
wood?
All right.
Yeah, like there was one a while ago, and I thought it was hilarious because they gave someone like pancakes with syrup, but it was served on a piece of wood, so the syrup was pouring off onto the table.
Oh gosh.
And they're like,
What?
there's a reason plates are kind of are
Curved?
concave.
Yeah.
So that it stays in.
Yeah.
Dude,
knew?
I think, the 80s were a crazy time.
Yeah.
Whenever I look back to the 80s, that was like the Gen Xers when they were like young or coming into their teens.
And you
And
know what? Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna
Finish-
say like
finish your-
people wore like skin tight hot pants with
Yeah.
like
Ooh.
hot pink leopard print
Yeah.
while roller skating, and it was a weird thing. But I'll tell you what, that was a million times cooler than whatever
Sounds
his
like
millennials
fun.
are doing.
Seriously.
I think it's a product of who you grow up around too. I have a lot of cousins, like a lot. I have like over 40 cousins.
Whoa.
It's
Wow.
crazy. Yeah,
a lot of cousins.
All on my dad's side alone. Yeah. So big family. But I had a lot of older cousins. So growing up in the 80s, I was surrounded by my cousins that were
Gen
6,
X?
7, 8 years older
Yeah.
than me. So I was surrounded by that crowd. I was
Very
I was
cool.
not necessarily raised, but I was certainly influenced by like the older generation right before me. So I think that's kind of why I'm like, what are these millennials thinking? What are they doing? I don't.
You know what I
don't
think
get
it is? I think millennials that the ones that we talk about, they're very active on social media. They're the members of our generation who are late to the party on the internet. So I think about, I've been on the internet as long as I've been alive. My mom had CompuServe through DOS.
You remember the dial-up sound?
Well, yeah, most millennials do though.
Yeah, I do too.
Most millennials do, but now I'm talking about DOS shell. You know what DOS shell is?
When it just the blinking dot, and you have to like all text.
Well, the
everything?
shell was actually one step beyond the blinking dot.
Really.
So you had the command prompt, which is the first computers we had, and you went online through typing in, going to CompuServe, and then DOS shell gave you a sort of graphical interface where you could see the list and press down and highlight them and press enter. And I had all the old school games on DOS, and then I remember getting Windows 3.1. So we've had the internet forever.
Yeah.
And I've always been online. And then, it started with chat rooms, and then social media emerged.
AOL.
So I think, for sure. Yeah, AOL, AIM.
AOL chat rooms.
The people that I
That was
know
the thing.
who were on the internet very early are all about the spicy memes. They're all about pranks and silliness and just jokes. And the people I know who weren't, because they were like, their parents made them go to soccer practice or whatever, and they were like growing up in the suburbs, so they weren't online. So when they finally got online, they were just like, it was like being injected straight into their veins, and they had no tolerance for it.
Yeah.
And they went insane.
Well, and the difference is like when you get made fun of in school, there's like a social aspect that you're used to in reality, like not in the internet world, in the internet realm. You can feel the nuance of everything. You could talk about it with your friends because they saw it and they're like, oh man, don't worry, that guy was an a-hole. Like, we got you. But on the internet, you're on your own. You're paddling in this huge ocean of nothingness, and it's like, if that's all you know, and you haven't like gotten thick skin from like some real reality interactions with bullies, or because they're out there, they exist, and on the internet, every bully sees you. Mm-hmm. All the bullies are like, it's a small fish, eat. It's time to consume. I can see it. If you don't know what you're going in blind, you're gonna get eaten.
It's a delirium. It's a psychosis.
Yep.
So there's two big ideas that are kind of bubbling up right now about what's wrong with these millennials and what's going on with social media. Brett Weinstein talked about this on Twitter and then on the Joe Rogan podcast, that the Chinese interrogation techniques to break an American soldier was really, really brilliant. They used really low-level incremental tactics. The general idea being, get someone to admit in writing, they have to write it themselves, something seemingly innocuous that's negative about their position. So the first thing the Chinese would do would say, they would say, okay, if you want food, we want you to write, America is not perfect. And everyone would be like, of course it's not.
Yeah.
That's reasonable. Okay, and they'd write it.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, you can increment them slowly into writing more and more bad things. Now what they would do is they would give them a very tiny reward. The reason was, if they gave them a really big reward, like a big meal, then the person could rationalize it. I lied in order to get a big reward. Mm-hmm. Giving them a small reward, the person could write something bad about the United States, and they couldn't justify it because the reward wasn't really worth it, but they did want that little piece of fruit or something, right?
Yeah, if they're starving, I mean.
So this is one of the things that Brett was talking about. It's you take that idea, put it on the internet, and you have this willful drive towards doing this thing. But I wonder how much China might actually be involved in running bot accounts to nudge people, to make them write these things. But think about it. These people keep one-upping themselves, writing crazier and crazier things, thinking it's reasonable because they're getting a tiny reward. It's not that big of a deal. It's a few likes, it's a few retweets.
Yeah.
So every day they one-up it, and now they've driven themselves insane. The other thing that's been going around, someone sent me this, that there's a dopamine addiction stimulant. It's a social media stimulant effect.
Yep.
Where every time you check your phone, you get a dopamine hit.
Especially when they smash the like button, smash.
That's a good thing,
Right.
though. It's a bad thing.
No, but it is too.
No, I'm dead serious. It's like you get it. Oh, they like my post. 1,000 people like my post.
Think about how we quantify how many viewers we have, how many likes we have.
I know.
Yeah.
How many super chats.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, man, you can see it in YouTubers when they have low mental fortitude, and it's most of them. It's almost all of them, to be honest. One day, like, wait till some YouTuber has a breakdown where they're like, I just don't know if I keep doing this bad, and then look at their view count. And their view count the days before will be in a downward slope.
Yeah.
So what happens is they'll work really hard, they'll make a video, they'll get 1 million views. The next day, 700,000. The next day, 500. And then by day 3, they're at 400. And the next day, they're like, I'm quitting. I can't do this anymore. And they talk about all these things that have nothing to do with what's really happening.
Yep.
They're not getting the dopamine hit. Their addiction is not getting satisfied.
Exactly.
But here's what they ended up saying in this thread that I was sent. When these people, these millennial social justice types, open up their phone to get that hit of dopamine, they need to put out a tweet that's going to give them those clicks, that attention, those likes. Mm-hmm. So they're one-upping themselves. And now this comes into the Chinese, manipulation technique. But every time they open up their phone and do it, two things are happening. One, they're radicalizing themselves. Two, they're building their addiction. Mm-hmm. And so the delirium idea is going on. I don't call it a theory because I don't know if these people are doctors, is that when you're on stimulants nonstop, it really fries your brain and like builds up aggression and like intolerance.
Well, there's literally a tolerance to any kind of drug. I think you can have dopamine exhaustion, like you can just get too much and then you're like completely like numb to it. So I wonder if that's part of what's happening.
Well, what they were saying is that basically it's a psychosis. When you do stimulants too often all of the time,
Yeah.
and you get so much dopamine released, you start going insane.
Well, then you think about the average diet, you know, like how much sugar the average, you know, person consumes. It's like sugar is the same thing. It's a reward system that like, ooh, let me have a treat and something sugary, you know, and the brain gets like, ooh, yeah, that's reward.
So
you
wait,
know?
wait.
Ooh, I got likes. It's the same thing.
So I did a segment the other day about this woman who firebombed some Philadelphia police vehicles.
Okay.
FBI caught her.
Wow.
Because she's a moron.
Oh, I saw this. Right.
So this woman
through Etsy, right?
through Etsy and her tattoo, but through Etsy.
Okay.
So she was wearing a shirt that said something like "Keep the immigrants, deport the racists."
Okay.
So they did a search for the shirt, found out that it was fairly unique, found a review on the seller with this person's name.
No way.
Then they tracked the person, found photos, eventually found a photo with the tattoo, and they're like, boom, we got her.
Wow.
What's amazing about that is that I am unimpressed with the FBI's ability to do that, because
Okay.
I've been doing that since the inception of the internet.
Seriously,
That's a good point.
No, like when I worked for Vice, I would show people how to do basic internet investigations and sleuthing.
Mm-hmm.
I used to do this trick where whenever I would meet someone and we were doing some kind of business deal,
Okay.
I would like ask them their name. And then while they were talking, I would pull up all their private information. I would dox them in real time. And then what I would say is this: I'd be, after they talked and introduced themselves, I'd be like, right on, man. Well, hey, I'll tell you what, tonight we have a party. I don't know if you want to come. You have time? It's not going to be too crazy. It's going to be kind of a get together. And they go, yeah, where's it at? And I'll be like, 123 Fake Street in, North Hollywood, California. And they go, what? And then I'll be like, yeah, that's where the party's at. And they'll be like, that's my address. And I'll be like, I know it is. And then they're like,
You
what?
creeper.
And I would do it. It was kind of it's kind of like to show you.
Psyop.
But this was particularly when I was doing more
That's a little creepy though.
programming
I gotta
stuff.
be honest.
Oh, totally,
Doing
absolutely.
That to people.
It was
Tim.
funny.
No.
But this
Funny
was
and creepy.
But this was back when I was hanging out at hackerspaces.
Lydia agrees.
Yeah, that's a little creepy. I mean,
No.
yeah. Well, when I first started talking to Tim, he basically did that to me.
Whoa.
Yeah, he was like, "Oh, I want to learn all about you." So he got me talking, and I was talking about stuff. And he's like, "Oh, I'm
Oh
looking
my
up right now,"
gosh.
and I was like, "Oh, okay. I guess I'm hired or whatever."
This is
great.
back when I used to hang out at hackerspaces.
Okay.
And so I'll tell you what, man, that these people know what you're thinking.
I'm sure they
Be
do.
honest. There was one time where this one guy, we're sitting at a party, and he's talking to a bunch of people, and he points over to a man and a woman.
Okay.
And then he started predicting everything they would do, and it was perfect. He would be like, in 3 seconds, the girl's gonna laugh. 3, 2, and then she laughs, and everyone starts, and then we all start laughing. And it was, now the guy is gonna shift his shoulders and turn towards her. 3, 2, and then he does.
Wow.
Because these guys were social engineers, and he was explaining all of the really obvious stereotypical behaviors these people do.
Yeah.
But anyway, not to get too much into that. The point I was bringing up is that you have this very predictable behavior with the internet.
Mm-hmm.
You have people who are becoming addicted to getting this hit.
Yep.
They're literally going insane. And now to go back to the woman who got caught by the FBI, she, in the photos they found, was a normal looking woman. And I started thinking about, I mentioned this in the video, that there's a meme that's called something like feminism not even once. Remember those meth ads? It was like methamphetamine not even once.
No, I don't.
It would show a picture of a regular person,
Okay.
and then it would show them after they were like
Oh yeah.
drug-addled and messed up, and their
Sure.
teeth are gone. Like, "Ugh." So people started making memes where it was like feminism not even once, and it shows these people before they go to college and afterwards, and it is terrifying.
Like De Blasio's daughter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
That's some.
Where they're like
big change.
smiling and normal and wearing regular clothes like this, and the next one is their heads are all shaved and they're like snarling at the camera like weird, freaky people, golems.
Yeah.
And so you have this woman with the firebomb. It's so sad because it's I've seen so much of this. The photo they found of her was a normal young woman, and the pictures of her in Philadelphia was nightmarish.
Wow, really?
Dude.
Nappy, like smashed dreads, like huge belly, and
20
just like
pounds heavier.
hunched over.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, dude, like 30 or 40
I'm
pounds
being
heavier.
nice, okay?
You're being nice. And I was like, I'm not saying this to be mean to her,
Right.
but this looks like a before and after of a drug addict. And the crazy thing is, a lot of these people are, but a lot of them aren't. It's something happening to them that's transforming their brains into it's withering their brain. I think I don't think it's just the social justice at the universities, like they're being indoctrinated. I think that plays a role in making them, in radicalizing them. But I think it has a lot to do with their addiction to social media. It's almost like
and probably other things. So someone in the chat just said it's probably Adderall too.
Yeah,
And
maybe.
I was like, oh, that's a
Or
good
Xanax,
point. You go
yeah.
to, I know a lot of people that went to college that they're like, I would not have made it through all the studying, staying up all night without whatever they were on.
But I'll tell you what, man, the people I know. So I used to hang out at the Columbia dorms in Chicago.
Okay.
And I knew a lot of regular people. A lot of them today have gone insane and are like drug addled and all that stuff. And it was because they were taking Adderall, for sure. Yep, a lot of them were. But it was because they wanted to do it all. They wanted to go out and party and do their homework. Instead of being like, I can't go out today, guys, I got to do my homework. They'd be like, I'll go out, I'll just take a pill. And then they like, you know what, man? It's probably a bit esoteric, but for those of you that are fans of World of Warcraft, it reminds me of the Nightborn elves. Their story is that they became addicted to a magic well.
Okay.
And then when the magic's like, long story short, when the magic was taken from them, a bunch of them slowly started to wither and become mindless, like shriveled up and like, and like run around like just brain dead.
Zombies.
Yeah, but it's the same thing for the blood elves too. But that's just a basic idea about drug addiction and withdrawal.
Okay.
These people have been addicted to the stimulant of social media. Their brains are hooked to it. They, you know, let me tell you something, bro. I was working on an app with a buddy of mine years ago. And the goal, the idea for the app was whenever you check your time on your phone, whenever you click it to see what time it is, you would be served a news story. And so it was a news delivery app for your lock screen.
Okay.
And when the idea was brought up to me by my buddy, I said, I mean, that's a cool idea, but don't we already have notifications? And he was like, yeah, but typically the notifications you get are few and far between. This is specifically a news story whenever you check your phone. And I was like, yeah, but come on. What do you check your phone like 2 or 3 times a day? And he goes, 140.
Yeah.
Is the average?
The average person's like 140.
140.
140 times they check their phone. And he was like, so what we do is every 10th viewing is an advertisement. And so then we're getting 14 ads per person per day. And that's
Wow.
huge.
Yeah, that's insane.
And I was like, whoa. So he ended up making a whole company based on that. And we did our project together, but news was like, we never actually had any ads in it.
Okay.
But him telling me that, like, we looked this over and yep, it's like 140 times per day people will check their phones.
Wow.
That is an addiction. Then you throw in what these people on Twitter are doing, and it's really obvious why. They're addicted. They need it. They need those buttons. They need those likes.
That's true.
So now you have this one dude. What's his name? Palmer. What's his name? You know, Palmer Report, whatever his name is.
Palmer Report guy. Yeah.
Literally did a Twitter thread saying it's time to re-educate conservatives.
Oh, man.
Because they're going insane. They're addicted. They have a stimulant hooked to their brain,
Wow.
pinging that dopamine over and over and over again. And now they're literally getting to the point where they're like, burn it all down and lock them in camps. Because if you want to get the shares, you can't post the same thing you posted yesterday.
It's true. You got to one-up yourself over and over and over again.
And now they're at the point of complete absurdity. Nothing makes sense. Everything's breaking down. You got politicians who are listening to this. Could you imagine if your politicians were like, I hear what you're saying, homeowner and entrepreneur, but I'm going to take the advice from the drug addict. You'd be like, but
Wait,
that's not, that person is unwell.
Right.
So now you've got 70, it's 2% of the population that are active on Twitter.
2%.
2%.
Right.
Now, 22% of the population has a Twitter account.
Okay.
Think about the 78% of regular people who have nothing to do with Twitter and don't even know what's going on.
That's the people I refer to all the time.
The people who are going to show up to Philly with baseball bats like, don't tear down our statue.
Yeah.
Right.
Wait. People are tearing down statues?
Oh,
No. That's it. We're going out there.
These
Are they
people-
coming to our town? It's going to happen.
And
And it's happening already. We're seeing
It
it.
is.
Yeah.
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. We do the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. If you want to catch the full show, tune in to this channel, subscribe, hit the like button, or check us out on iTunes and Spotify. And we will soon have this podcast up for free on all podcast platforms. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all in the next episode.